To show you the demo of responsive design with the help of Tailwind CSS, I'm going to comment all the code that we have written so far inside the app.jsx because inside all this code, we have not considered any responsive design. Let me comment this code followed by towards the end, I'm going to create a div. To this div, I'm going to assign the class names like grid. After the grids, I'm going to mention grid calls -1. I'm going to have a single column inside my grid, and I'll also mention gap -4. For now, I don't need this gap, but I'm trying to add this for our future changes. After adding these classes, I'm going to add multiple children divs to this grid. For the first div, I'm going to have the content as 1, followed by under the class names, I'm going to use a background color of blue 300, followed by p-4, which is going to create some padding space of 4 units. Let me try to repeat this div multiple times by copying the same code. So in total, I'm trying to have 4 different divs with the text like 1, 2, 3, and 4. With these changes, if I go to the browser, grid div is being displayed. This is the first element, second element, third element, and fourth element. Since I have mentioned that my grid should have only a single column, that's why I'm seeing a single item in each row. Let's try to adjust the screen size and see how this is behaving. For the same, I'll go to the developer console and I'll click on this laptop and mobile icon. And with that, I'm going to have this responsive option. You can try to change to various responsive sizes. For example, if I want to go for iPhone 14 Pro Max, this is how my screen is going to look like. So inside this mobile screen, I'm having each element inside each row. Whereas if I try to select iPad mini, it's still one item for each row. Let me go to iPad Pro. Still it is the same. Let me go to responsive and try to increase this screen size. As I'm trying to increase, nothing is happening. Always the grid is having only a single element inside each row because I have mentioned grid columns -1 for all kind of screen sizes. Now let me try to make some responsive changes. First I'll type sm : followed by I'm going to mention grid -calls 2. Followed by I'm going to mention medium MD. For medium screen size, I'm going to mention grid columns 3. Whereas for LG, which represents large screens, I'm going to have grid -calls -4 columns. With these, what is going to happen is by default, I'm always going to have a single column. And this is going to work by default for the mobile screens, which are smaller screens. Whereas once my screen width reaches a minimum of 640px, the grid is going to have 2 columns. Similarly, for the screens which are having a minimum width of 768px, the number of columns will be 3. And for larger screens, the number of columns will be 4. This is how you can control on how your website should behave based upon the width of the screen. Let's see the demo of these changes. As of now, I'm trying to view this website inside my big desktop. Since my desktop screen width comes under the large screen, I'm able to see 4 columns inside grid handling 4 different items in a single row. Let me go to the developer console and I'm going to select this responsive and I'll make sure the zoom is 100%. As of now, since my screen is of this size, I'm able to see 4 different columns. If I try to reduce the width of my screen, once it reaches the value less than large screen width, it is going to fall under the medium category. So here you'll be able to see the breakpoint is at 1024. So the moment I reach 1024 or less, it is falling under the medium size. That's why the number of columns became 3. If I keep reducing and if the screen width is below the minimum width of medium, then I'm going to have small screen. For small screen width, we are going to have 2 columns. And if I keep reducing this size, I will go into the mobile screens width. Under mobile screens width, the number of columns we're going to have will be 1. You can also try selecting various devices. For example, I'm trying to select iPhone 14 Pro Max. For mobile, this is how it is going to look like. Let me select the zoom as 100%. Next, I'll select other device like iPad Pro. iPad Pro falls under large screen. That's why we're able to see 4 different columns in a single row. I hope you're seeing how this is working. Let me show you a few more examples. This time, I'm going to paste a couple of paragraphs after this div. You can get these paragraphs code from the GitHub repo as well. For the first paragraph, if you can see, by default for mobile application screens, I'm going to have a text of base. Text to base means we are going to get a font size of 16px with a line height as 1.5. For small screen width, which are above 640px, I'm going to have text as large. For medium, the text size will be XL. For large, the text size will be XXL. And for XL width, the size of the text will be 4XL. Similarly, in the next paragraph, I'm trying to control the color of the text. By default, the color of the text will be red. For small screens, it will be blue, and for medium screens, it will be emerald, and for large screens, it will be yellow, and for extra large screens, it will be purple. Let me save these changes, and let's try to see the demo of these paragraphs as well. With my desktop screen, this is how the paragraphs are being displayed because my screen size falls under the extra large screen. There is some spacing issue. What I can do is I can try to have a margin space of 4 units. Let me mention the same for the next paragraph as well. With this, we should have some good spacing. So now it looks good. Let me go to the developer console. First, I'll try to select a mobile screen, maybe iPhone SE. And for iPhone SE, you'll be able to see the font color is red, and this is the size of the font under the first paragraph. Let me select this responsive and try to increase the width. As I increase the width, you'll be able to see the color of the font and the size of the font is increased. And this time the font converted into green. Next, it will convert into yellow. And next, it will convert into purple. And since this is the maximum setting that we have done, with the help of this Excel, any further increase of the screen width, it is not going to change anything. So finally, we settled with the purple and a very big font because for Excel screens, we are trying to use 4XL and purple color. I hope you're clear on how to build responsive websites with the help of Tailwind. You just have to take care of having these prefixes. Please make sure you are aware about these breakpoints. For SM, the minimum width is 640px. Similarly, for other breakpoints also, we have minimum widths. Anything that you're going to mention without this prefix, it is going to work for the mobile screens. If you're trying to use a combination of this breakpoint prefix and without prefixes, then whatever classes you have mentioned without prefixes, they are going to be applicable for the mobile screens. Because like Bootstrap, Tailwind also is going to consider mobile first approach.